A teenage boy couldn't even go on a field trip because his classmates were bullying him about his sister's OnlyFans. This is the reality for families of BOP House members, a content house that's made $43 million from adult content while marketing to children on TikTok. But what's even more shocking is how they're openly discussing recruiting minors the moment they turn 18. When you think of content houses, you probably think of the OGs like FaZe House, Clout House, or Hype House, but the BOP House takes things to a disturbing new level. Today, we're diving into how this adult content creator house is targeting children, destroying families, and making millions in the process. The most shocking thing about the BOP House isn't just what they do, it's who they're trying to recruit. In a podcast episode that should have everyone concerned, two BOP House members casually discuss bringing in a 17-year-old girl named Piper as soon as she turns 18. Did you catch that? We love you and we see you. These aren't just casual comments, they're essentially putting a minor on a waiting list for adult content creation. This was broadcast publicly on their podcast for their millions of followers to hear. The way they frame it as a compliment, "You're the cutest little thing ever, and we see you, girl," creates a false sense of validation that's incredibly powerful for teenagers still forming their identity. It's textbook grooming behavior, packaged as opportunity and praise. If we compare this to other industries, the predatory nature becomes clear. Imagine if a liquor company started telling 17-year-olds, "We can't wait until you're 21 so you can buy our products." Or if gambling establishments were telling teens, "We're watching you and can't wait until you're old enough to come play." There would be immediate outrage and likely legal consequences. Yet somehow, when it comes to adult content, this behavior flies under the radar. This represents their entire business model, identifying young, impressionable creators with followings and bringing them into their world as soon as they're legally able to. It's predatory behavior disguised as business opportunity. The BOP House has amassed an incredible 3.2 million followers on TikTok, but who exactly is watching their content? The answer might disturb you. Their videos aren't explicitly adult. They're dancing, wearing costumes, and creating content that appears PG enough to pass platform guidelines. But this is precisely what makes them so dangerous. They're creating content that appeals to young viewers while simultaneously promoting their adult content just one click away. Think about it. What grown adult is watching superhero costume dances on TikTok? Their target demographic isn't other adults. It's children and teenagers who are being exposed to creators essentially advertising their OnlyFans through seemingly innocent content. The algorithm makes this problem worse. Once a young person watches one BOP House video, they'll be recommended more similar content. Before long, their entire feed could be filled with these creators, normalizing this career path and creating a sense that this is what success looks like. What's particularly insidious is how they've mastered content that sits right on the line. Not explicit enough to be removed from platforms that children use, but suggestive enough to drive traffic to their adult content. It's a calculated strategy that exploits loopholes in platform policies. Parents often have no idea what their children are being exposed to. They might see their kid watching dance videos and think it's harmless, not realizing that these seemingly innocent creators are just one profile click away from promoting adult content. The digital literacy gap between generations makes this problem even more severe. Perhaps the most heartbreaking aspect of the BOP House phenomenon is the impact on the families of these creators. One member's brother gave a devastating interview about how his sister's career has affected his life. This young man couldn't even go on a school field trip because of the bullying he faced. He couldn't join the varsity team because players told the coach about his sister's profession. His entire school experience has been tainted by something he had no control over. And the response from the BOP House member? He'll get over it eventually, and suggestions to just pay him off. The dismissive attitude reveals a disturbing disconnect from reality. Just pay him like cash, get him a car, as if material possessions could somehow compensate for the loss of normalcy and respect. It shows how the pursuit of money has completely warped their perspective on what actually matters in life. This situation raises important questions about consent that extend beyond the creators themselves. When someone joins the BOP House or starts creating adult content, they're not just making a decision for themselves, they're making a decision that affects their entire family. Their siblings, parents, and even extended family members never consented to have their lives impacted, yet they bear the consequences nonetheless. For younger siblings especially, the impact can be devastating. School should be a place of learning and growth, not a daily gauntlet of humiliation and bullying. These children have their identities completely overshadowed by their siblings' career choice, something they had absolutely no say in. The internet never forgets. Once these videos are online, they're there forever. The brother will never escape this association, even long after his sister has moved on from this career. The damage is permanent and extends far beyond the creator themselves. The head of the BOP house, Sophie Rain, proudly announced that she's made $43 million from her OnlyFans. That's an astronomical amount of money, more than most people will see in several lifetimes. When young people see numbers like this, it creates a powerful illusion. It makes this career path seem like a golden ticket to wealth and success. Why go to college or work a traditional job when you could potentially make millions by posting content online? But here's what they don't tell you. Sophie Rain is the exception, not the rule. She's in the top 0.01% of creators. The average OnlyFans creator makes around $200 per month, less than a part-time minimum wage job. The vast majority will never see anything close to millions. It's like looking at LeBron James and thinking every kid who plays basketball will make it to the NBA. The reality is that most people who enter this industry will make very little money while permanently affecting their reputation, relationships, and future career prospects. They never talk about the shelf life of this career. How long can someone sustain this type of content creation? What happens when they're no longer in demand? What career options will they have after spending their formative years in this industry? These are the questions that don't get answered in the flashy income announcements. There's also the issue of financial literacy. Many young creators who do make substantial money lack the knowledge to manage it properly. They spend lavishly, fail to save or invest, and don't prepare for the inevitable decline in earnings. By the time their career ends, they often have little to show for it besides a digital footprint that will follow them forever. The BOP house represents a disturbing evolution in content creation. It's not just about adults making choices for themselves anymore. It's about deliberately targeting, influencing, and recruiting young people. Think about the generational shift we're seeing. Previous generations dreamed of becoming astronauts, doctors, or even YouTubers. But what happens when millions of young people are being influenced to see adult content creation as a desirable career path? The age requirement for creating adult content is 18, but is that really old enough? These are decisions that will affect someone for their entire life, made by people who just graduated high school, whose brains aren't fully developed, and who often don't understand the long-term consequences. Someone like Sophie Rain can legally create adult content at 20 years old, but can't legally purchase alcohol. Does that make sense? Should life-altering career decisions with permanent consequences have a lower age requirement than buying a beer? The science is clear that the human brain doesn't fully develop until around age 25, particularly the parts responsible for long-term decision-making and understanding consequences. Yet we're allowing 18-year-olds to make decisions that will follow them for the rest of their lives, often encouraged by people who profit from their participation. From a pure business perspective, what the BOP house is doing works. They've built a multi-million-dollar empire by targeting the right demographic and creating a pipeline from innocent content to adult material. But business success doesn't equal ethical behavior. What they're doing, targeting children with their marketing, discussing recruiting minors, and glamorizing a career path that destroys families, crosses serious ethical lines. The damage they're causing to young viewers, to potential recruits, and to their own families will last long after the TikTok trends fade and the money is spent. No amount of millions can buy back dignity, repair family relationships, or erase content from the internet. As viewers and as a society, we need to be more critical of content houses like the BOP house. We need to recognize predatory behavior even when it's dressed up as opportunity, and we need to protect young people from influences that could alter the course of their entire lives. The platforms themselves also bear responsibility. TikTok, YouTube, and other social media sites need stronger protections to prevent adult content creators from marketing to minors. The current system allows for too much gray area where content can be technically appropriate while still serving as a funnel to inappropriate material. Ultimately, this isn't about moral judgment of adult content creation itself. It's about protecting children from exploitation and ensuring that young adults understand the true consequences of their choices before making decisions that will affect them forever. If you thought these moments were shocking, wait until you see what happens in this next video. The clips you're about to watch will leave you speechless.